A few weeks ago, I took advantage of a pricing mistake that the auction made, selling me one of the cheapest MSO McLarens that I have ever seen. And for that kind of price, I pretty much stole it, or at least that's what I thought, because once I started taking it apart, I found a lot more damage than I thought I would. And the reason I got it so cheap is because the auction listing says it doesn't start or drive, but I think I might have an easy fix for it. And my biggest concern right now is seeing if the engine is properly working and if I can start it, because this is gonna go from a really good deal to really bad really quickly. Now, the most obvious thing is getting a real OEM battery for this car. That little thing we were using in the last video is obviously not gonna work. So it's either I spend $5,000 for a real battery from the dealer, or I buy a $1,000 dongle and some cheap battery, or find a used battery like this one for 1,900 bucks. And this is gonna give us the best possible odds to start this car with no emulators or random dongles. But honestly, finding a battery was the easiest part. What's hard is finding an actual diffuser or a front splitter for this car that is not back ordered by more than a month. And the only one that I found that I can get quickly is a completely destroyed diffuser on eBay for $1,900, and there's no way I'm gonna be paying that. But before we do any of that, as you know in the last video, the subframe is completely mangled. So before we even swap a battery or put a new pyro in, we gotta swap the subframe out and then try to start this car. So we got this subframe in. As you know, in the last video, that one was destroyed. And luckily, this one actually came with the ride height sensor on this side, which is absolutely lovely. And it came with the link, which is exactly what we needed for that side specifically. We have some bolts on here that we also needed. And then we got some airbags. 2 airbags, a knee airbag, and a steering wheel airbag. We're probably not gonna do anything with it right now, but yeah, they're freaking really expensive, but we got them. So let's lift the car up, start pulling the subframe off, and put the new one on. Put the sway bar in, and that should be it for kind of like the undercarriage area. So this is from a Mercedes.
Let's not say what Mercedes.
In the last video, if you remember, this wiring is completely cooked, and our only option is to get very lucky and find some wiring harness, scrap, or a piece that has these connectors. But turns out, if you actually get a Mercedes connector, they work for this computer, which saved us a migraine. Tim was talking to someone, and someone was trying to tax us for $1,500 for these connectors. So we still got a long way to go, because before we do any wiring, we gotta pull this subframe off, and the first thing that comes off is this windshield wiper fluid tank. There's a bunch of wires connected to it and some sensors that we got to pull off, and the hose that goes up into the actual wipers. David's going to take care of the link that goes into the ride height sensor and into the control arm.
Okay, I mean, this is out. Probably put this sideways. Those bolts, David, put them in so we don't lose them. You screw them on.
What am I, some freaking assistant here?
Yeah.
That's quite literally your job, Dave. You have zero technological knowledge.
Well, either way, I think we should.
Mechanical knowledge.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. Insurance. Thank you, insurance. And they did most of the work. They already unscrewed everything.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more smaller pieces that the shop forgot to put back on here, which kind of makes our lives easier, but means I have to buy more parts. So we're going to take this steering rack off, which is the main thing that's held on to that subframe. There's only 2 bolts, very simple, and we're lucky that this steering rack is perfectly straight. There's no issues with it even after that impact. Before we started disassembling the suspension, we didn't want to take any risks, so we put a jack with a block on it to hold the spring just in case it decides to shoot out. Okay, so now let's unbolt that side over there. And there's only 2 bolts on this side that we got to take off, because the 2 front ones were not even in here when we got this car, as far as I remember. And I'm honestly not even sure how the driver managed to hit the car without even damaging the control arm. Drop it slow?
Yeah. Yep.
There's nothing.
Well,
there's nothing holding it. Okay, well, that's one side off.
Okay.
We're also need to double check if this is straight, because
No, that's good. It's just this is
no, I have the doubts that that thing is
well, we can always unbolt it.
yeah, we'll have to look at, well, let's do the other side first. And there's just 4 more bolts on the driver's side, so let's go ahead and take those off here, the front 2, and now on the rear 2. Judging by that destroyed rim that was on this side, this control arm and the whole suspension is all in one piece, surprisingly. All right, we are off. Now, there are a few bolts that go into the carbon tub here, and I think that's it for the subframe. So we're just gonna double check everything before we lift up this car and take off the last few remaining bolts that are holding this destroyed subframe. So we're gonna take off the rear 4 and the 2 that are bolted on to the frame rails. And that's subframe off, or no?
Who's holding it?
There's nothing holding it. So I went back in there to triple check just in case we might have missed something that's attached to that subframe. And before we put on the new one, we also want to test to make sure the frame rails did not shift in any sort of direction, but it feels good swapping out this damaged subframe, especially being able to get over 80% off, because the one from the dealer cost $4,700 and we got ours for just $1,000 with the sensor that we also needed.
So right now we're just gonna check if the frame rails are fine. We went off to base off the second hole right now, off the carbon tub. This is the best way to know if the frame rails are moved. And these literally line up flawlessly, so I mean, I don't see,
We're good.
yeah, anything.
So these weren't touched at all,
wrong
then?
with that. It's literally perfect, yeah. Everything looks like it's like on the
Lovely.
spot. You can even tell the whole frame rail, everything's fine. It looks literally how it should be.
Yeah.
The whole car doesn't look like the nose. Like, we were hoping the shock would be fine. Obviously, we were gonna check it out later because it was standing fine. The wheel didn't look like messed up at all. But you can kind of see it's kind of doing like a,
Another 1,300 pretty much.
yeah. I think it would be best bet to replace it. It might be rebuildable just because this one is very slightly bent. Let's see if this thing freaking shoots out.
For parts like this, you're better off just buying one instead of trying to repair it. It's just not even worth it.
Dude,
I
this is the bottom
Here,
one.
I'll hold the spring.
This is the bottom. Get zip ties.
I'm holding it.
Here, this is the bottom.
Taking off a McLaren suspension is pretty easy, besides the fact that it cost me $1,600 to get a new one. So there's 2 bolts at the top, a sensor, and a hydraulic fluid line to operate that front car lift. And with a few love taps, we finally got the old suspension off.
Finally. Yeah, no, yeah, this one is.
Oh,
Is it bent? Guys, what do y'all think? Is that
Yo,
bent?
let me see. Yo, this one's good.
Fudge, man. Okay, so now the issue is that
can rebuild that though.
That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
no shot, bro. Look at that. There is a company in Europe who can repair shocks like this, but with shipping costs and repair costs and the time frame that it's going to take, it's just not even worth doing. And back on the subframe, we're going to swap all the old sensors back onto this new subframe just in case we get any sort of issues. Hey, out with the old and with the new to us.
Second hand.
Used.
One time lightly used.
Lightly used. Lightly got into a fire.
Right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna go anywhere now.
So we're gonna hand tie these subframe bolts for now just because they are one-time use, and the last thing I want to do right now is make a mistake and then have to get new bolts and take off that subframe again after torquing it down. So we're just gonna put everything in first and then torque down the subframe after double checking, triple checking, making sure that everything is attached.
Okay, did you hear a clip on yours?
Because I don't hear one.
Let me see. Why is this not gonna fit?
So for some odd reason, I'm not able to connect this ride height sensor. So it was just dirty. So we used this right here, mass airflow sensor cleaner. There's probably a bunch of sand or dust in there. So there was a small little rip in this wire that we're gonna tape up and secure one of 2 coolant lines. The other return line is actually missing because the whole passenger side cooling system is gone off of this car. And I'm also attaching the ride height sensor that came in with this subframe, which saved me about a couple $100. And there was also about 10 ground connectors that bolt into that subframe. Okay, so we got all the grounds secured, all the wiring done. We're gonna put this suspension back together on this side, but we're gonna leave this side because we don't have the shock. Still waiting on the rest of the parts because they're all coming from the UK. So like all the bumper stuff, the undercover stuff, everything inside, all the trim pieces, we're still waiting on all of that. So we're only going to secure the driver's side suspension because we do not have the shock on the driver's side. And we're not going to torque it to spec just because the car needs to be on its ride height, so we don't want to damage anything.
Bro, how much guys does it take? Is this a one-man job or no?
Okay, that's job done. All right, so we're gonna get the sway bar in. Let's get this bad boy in. Right side is this way. Okay. It goes like this. So in order for us to start this car, we don't really need to put the sway bar in here, but we're gonna put it in anyways. It's just 2 bolts on the right side and 2 bolts on the left side. Let's go ahead and drop this car a little bit and get this battery in to start it. Or at least try.
How are you gonna start it? No, there's no
No, actually, for filming purposes, to extend this 4 video series into 10 video series, let's have him start the car.
So it blows.
Okay, let's get some power to turn it on. At least ignition.
Yo, for what reason?
At least get the 8 cylinders firing.
With what computer? What module? No brains in the car?
We don't need it.
Oh, really?
Well, at least details. I don't know.
We already did that joke last video. All right, moment of truth. OEM battery is going in. Let's see what happens.
Oh, I heard something. Come here. AC's on. Turn off AC.
I would, if I knew now.
With the vents already blowing in the car, that's a very, very good sign.
Okay, we're live. The car is active. No, I was doing this last time.
No, it works. The last time on the other battery, it would flash and turn off after a little bit.
Well, why?
12,000 miles, dang.
Where's the key?
So this is a very good sign. All the electronics and everything in the car is working right now.
Oh, it does.
Damn, we got some motion. oh, look, that's sick. I didn't even know they had a light in there. That's actually crazy. So everything works. Yeah, definitely not everything. Turn off AC.
Yeah, turn it off because it's gonna drain the battery.
How do I turn it off? I've never had a car like this before. Off. There we go. Should I try? The fuel is so old in here though.
I mean, if it's already on, we can try starting it.
Okay, I'm gonna try. And for the big moment of truth, half the front end is still missing, but let's see if we can actually try to start this car. Nothing.
Is your foot on the brake?
Yeah, but I think it doesn't sense the brakes or something. It's not recognizing that my brake, I'm holding it. So when I'm pressing the brake pedal, I'm not seeing the rear brake lights turning on, which means there is still something disconnected. We don't think it could be the e-brake, but we're gonna plug it in anyways.
Yeah. Hold on. Turn off the car for now. So, insurance unplugged the parking brake. I want to see if we plug it in.
What if it locks it up right now? Maybe unplug the battery first? I'm gonna go unplug the battery. If the car doesn't sense any brake pressure, it's obviously not going to start, so we're gonna leave no loose ends and connect every single wire that we can find.
Well, yeah, that's the only reason it's turning on right now. It's because I bypassed the pyro. Sensors are plugged in, but not like fully in. They like go weird. Fully plugged in.
Maybe it's not even start because the front is open? Oh, yeah, close it. Wasn't
All
that
the sensors aren't plugged in everything. It should be fine.
I think that's why also. The 2 front sensors are not on.
The diffuser.
Should I try closing it though? Okay, I'm gonna try again.
E-brake is on, I'll tell you that.
Oh, the battery's off. I unplugged the battery. Plug the battery back in. We're gonna connect everything but the CCU and see what happens.
Should I try just closing it just in case? Hey, hold on. We need to connect all these.
To where? Ready?
Go.
And still nothing.
It's not sensing the brakes. Press and hold it.
No, it's just turning off. It's not sensing that I'm hitting the brake. It's like really tight.
David, that's fine. 1 sec. Put the e-brake.
So we plugged everything in, but the e-brake doesn't seem to be activating.
The parking brake is plugged in. I don't get it. Hold on, let me actually look at the wiring.
We connected the parking brake, but for some reason, when I press the pedal, the brake lights still do not turn on. Sad day that it won't work. At least we know things turn on for now. We're just gonna wait for more parts. There were still so many things disconnected from this car that I pretty much lost hope and gave up on trying to start it. The CCU was missing, but there was one thing that might actually fix this. So we figured out the brake situation.
So what?
Try to start it. I don't know.
Me?
Yeah.
What if the airbag's blow on me?
The battery's about to die. Go, quick. Just try it one time.
Oh my goodness, bro! Bro! Yo, we got it.
And you won't even believe what we missed.
I cannot believe we just started this thing, bro. That is insane. And I missed the video.
I got this car for a very good deal because it didn't run and it didn't start. And I didn't even know if there was an engine in it. But I took that risk, bought this car, and without even adding any new parts to this car, besides the battery, I was able to finally start it. If this thing was a runner and driver on auction, I would have paid $20,000 more for it. Hit the brakes. The main thing here is that we got it to run without a lot of missing front end stuff, so we know that there's no deeper hidden issues with the car. It started with literally the chassis module or the unit missing fully. We got it with a lot of things unplugged from the front and it still started. We listened to it for a few seconds, but it sounded good. It didn't sound, you know, like anything crazy. So I still cannot believe that we actually got this car started. I read your guys' comments on the first video saying that we can't start the car with the front open. We still ended up starting it. So the problem was that we didn't connect the ABS plug into the ABS unit, which prevented it from sensing that there's pressure on the brakes, and that's why it didn't start. So we ended up starting it. It sounded pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments. But for the next video, we're getting all the coolers in. We got the vacuum fill started over here with the coolant. The wheels are coming in soon, so we're gonna set it up on all 4 wheels and take it for a first test drive without the front end assembled and see how it runs, how it drives, if it shifts into gears. So if you haven't subscribed already, go do that right now and like this video. And if you haven't seen the very first video of us getting this car, go check that one out as well. But yeah, I got really lucky that this car actually runs. I don't know if it drives yet, but at least it starts. So I'll see you guys in the next video.